Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. But we are joined by a very special guest from across the country, Mr. Fernando Ramirez. How are you doing, sir? Reporter for Sports Illustrated covering the LA Chargers. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good. I appreciate it. I heard 3 or 4 hours, 15 minutes. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited.
I was just yanking your chain. It's only like 15, 20 minutes. I just wanted to see how you would respond to it.
Honestly, I'm down for anything.
You were
game. I love to talk, so
you were game. You were like, I'll go 24 hours, I guess, but
but I have to jump up to Costa Mesa. I still live in San Diego, so I still do that commute up to Costa Mesa. So it's about an hour and 15. So I can talk to you guys while I'm driving, but that's a little dangerous. So I don't know.
I wouldn't advise that for Fernando. But that being said, the Burgundy Zone is part of Listen Frederick, a curated network of local podcasts produced in and focused on the Frederick area. Along with highlighting local talent, Listen Frederick hopes to bring local stories, voices, and personalities together to create a podcast community. Listen Frederick is part of the Manning Media family, home of Key 103 and 106.9 The Eagle. You can check out more about us and the other shows on the network at www.listenfrederick.com. Now, to start this off, Fernando, the first-round pick, Rashaan Slater, was arguably the best tackle in the draft. It looks like you guys got him. How has he looked so far in camp, and are you guys in the fan base confident with Rashaan Slater going up against this defensive unit with Montez Sweat and Chase Young?
Well, obviously the Chargers needed help at the offensive line. Brandon Staley came in. He noticed that was a big weakness. He goes out. He gets Corey Linsley, who dominated his St. Louis Rams. My bad. His LA Rams in the playoffs. He literally has brought a breath of fresh air. And then they go out, and it's funny. Rashaan Slater falls into their lap, and you're kind of like, wow, like everything's going, and then you think, oh, maybe Dallas is going to get him to revamp that offensive line. They go Micah Parsons because obviously that defense needs help, and you're like, wow, Rashaan Slater fell into the Chargers' lap. Daniel Jeremiah, a lot of other analysts had Slater pegged ahead of Penei Sewell. So that was pretty interesting as well. The Chargers obviously kept him at left tackle. We obviously know the Lions have switched Penei to right tackle, but Rashaan's been everything that fans had hoped for and more. During training camp, I mean, there was a time where he went up against Joey Bosa. He did really well against Joey, and you're just like, oh crap, could this kid really be the real deal? And he has looked like it so far. Obviously, he's going back to facing the guy that made him in a sense, made him famous, going up against Chase Young. Really, when they went up against Ohio State and Northwestern, that's what really put Rashaan Slater on the map. He's acknowledged it. He acknowledged it twice after the draft. So he really has been everything that the Chargers had hoped for. And I think more just because of last year they had Sam Tevi. They had a lot of problems on the offensive line, and now you kind of fix those. You get Rashaan Slater. Now it's about, can this offensive line build cohesion? Brian Bulaga, the right tackle, has been a little bit shaky here and there with is he going to play, is he not? Brandon Staley said on Monday that they still didn't know, that they were going to watch his progress this week. But it seems like the rest of the offensive line is defined by who they have already. So Rashaan's been everything that the Chargers had hoped for and more. It seems like they really do have their future left tackle for the next 10 to 15 years. And on draft night, he said the perfect thing. He said, they asked him, do you have a message for Justin Herbert? He's like, I got your back, man. So there you go. So that was something that the fan base needed to hear. And that was something that obviously the Chargers wanted to hear. So he literally has done a lot of really good things when it comes. And then going up against Joey Bosa, like I said, if you want one guy helping you out, that's Joey Bosa. And Joey really, I've watched Joey come over and explain to him, I'm using my hands like this. You should do this. You should try and do that. So it's been pretty interesting to watch the maturation of Rashaan Slater in his first training camp.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brian Bulaga is possibly being questionable going into this game. Do you see him trending towards playing on Sunday? And if not, can you give us a little bit of information on Storm Norton, his backup? And also, do you think he will be up to the task of handling this defensive line with four first-round picks on it?
So, I mean, Brian Bulaga is obviously a Pro Bowl right tackle. Last year, he was one of the big free agent signings that everybody was excited about. and he really didn't play all that much last year. He came in, he had a couple of injuries. When he came back in, it was he would play 3 plays and then he'd get knocked out of the game. So it was really groin. It was everything: groin, shoulder, this, that. So there was really a long list of injuries last year when it came to Brian Bulaga, and I think he only played in like 6 games, 4 full games, I think it was. So that's not a recipe. The Chargers, Brandon Staley's done everything he can possible to keep Brian Bulaga healthy this offseason. He sat him during practices. He sat him all during preseason games. He sat him during the joint practice against the 49ers one of the days. So he's done everything, and he still, I think right now he has a groin/hip flexor, which is like 2 combined injuries. So you're kind of, you don't know if he's going to play. I really don't know if he's going to play, because one day I see him on the sideline working out by himself with a training coach, and you're like, oh, this doesn't look good, because he's in street clothes. I mean, in regular sweatpants, t-shirt, hat. And then the next day you see him in pads. So you're kind of like, okay, like, what is it? Is he not? So we haven't gotten any indication yet. I think by Friday we should have a good feeling. But Storm Norton's an XFL guy. He's been all right. I mean, there's a drop-off. There is a drop-off when you go from Brian Bulaga to Storm Norton. Now, can the rest of the offensive line pick up the slack? That's going to be interesting, just because Storm Norton played a couple of times last year and it wasn't pretty. This year, he's kind of had a little bit of a stronger camp, but not all that much better than you would kind of hope. You always want your backups to be almost to the same level as your starters. And Storm Norton is a little bit of a drop off, and it's a little bit of a drop off if Trey Pipkins gets in there as well. So they've both had a kind of an up and down roller coaster kind of training camp. So if the Chargers have Storm Norton starting, it might be a kind of a long day for Justin Herbert if Storm Norton does play on Sunday, which the Chargers, I'm guessing, are going to try and avoid and have Bulaga play, but you just don't know.
Right. Hey, well, at least Storm Norton has an awesome name. That's a good thing.
Hey, there was a Forest Lamp a couple of years ago on the Chargers.
I remember Forest Lamp. I love Forest Lamp.
Yeah. Then
it's a shame his injuries.
They have a Forest on the practice squad, and then they obviously have Storm Norton. So they have a bunch of different crazy names on the team.
Forest Lamp, it's so funny. His parents must have been such hippies. Like, what is a Forest Lamp, you know?
You know what's funny is that he actually got a sponsorship from like this lamp company from like Sweden. And
there you go.
Yeah, and they were like, hey, just because they sent us all an email, just because Storm's leaving the Chargers doesn't mean that his sponsorship will end. And they had like him literally holding a lamp and all this. It was just hilarious.
That's so funny. But you mentioned Justin Herbert. Obviously, he's the talk of the town. He's supposed to be one of the next big stars in the NFL. He came in, he took the league by storm. I'm not going to lie. I scouted him when he was coming out. One thing that worried me was his accuracy issues. He seemed to really struggle with that, but he comes to the NFL, doesn't really seem to be an issue at all. The guy is hitting his stride. What seems to be the next step, and what do you guys want to see from Justin Herbert?
So basically, for when you go to that, I think it was more the talent around him at Oregon. Like if you would have put him at LSU or you would have put him at Alabama, he might have had better numbers than Tua or Joe Burrow. So that's really what like coming out. I had Joe Burrow number 1, and I actually had Justin at a close 1B, and then I had Tua a lot lower than both of them, just because I thought that those two guys were far beyond better than Tua. But obviously Justin's kind of settled down a little bit. I think it helps when you have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and kind of some of these playmakers. I think next it's going to be, obviously, if he can have a season like last year, I think the organization would be pretty happy with it. It was a good season. Now it's about taking care of the football. Obviously, every week, consistency. You have to see consistency from him. But really, I think there's either 2 ways he's going to take this. Either he's going to have a similar season to last year, kind of in that 35 to 40 touchdown range, around 4,500 yards, or he could just completely blow up and have that Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes second season where you're like, oh crap, this kid is really the next coming, and here he comes. Which honestly, I've been watching him during training camp, and obviously going up against the same defense, you're kind of like, but then against the joint practice against the 49ers, the ball probably touched the ground in 2 days, probably twice. He didn't throw any interceptions, didn't throw anything into the opposing receiver's arms. You know, it's funny. We actually did a tally on him. He threw 7 interceptions during training camp. 2 of them were No, one of them was actually an interception. The rest of the 6, he had either been touched down or the play had been called dead and he just threw it and it was an interception. So he really only threw one pick. And he's really been on it. I think he's kind of, I don't want to say he's mastered this offense just because there's still things you obviously have to see. I mean, obviously the whole camp was vanilla. It was a little vanilla. We didn't get to see him throw down the field, all this stuff. Obviously, why? Because they want to save it for the games. That's why Justin didn't play in preseason. That's why Keenan didn't play. Mike, none of these guys played because they want to wait until week 1. So really, we're not going to get you can see all of us writing all this different stuff about how we think the offense is going to be. But really, we're not going to see it until it's actually on the field in Washington on Sunday, and that's when you're really going to get a sense of what this offense is. That's why I say I think Justin could literally have, if he had a Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson second season, I wouldn't be surprised just because you've seen the maturation. He understands everything. He won the Heisman for intelligence as a student his last year at Oregon, so he's really a smart kid. I interviewed his dad last year for a story I did, and I asked him, what makes your son tick, or what is it about him? He's like, I don't know what to tell you. The kid's just smart. He sees a play on the, he sees plays or he reads the playbook. He could read it once. He could read you a book once, and he can write you a 10,000 page book report on what made the book so well. And I'm like, oh, crap. So he's like, all 3 of my kids should have been doctors. I think only 2 of them are going to be doctors now. And one of them might be a pretty good quarterback. And I just started laughing. So, and the other thing is, too, guys, Justin doesn't let this crap or doesn't let the hype get to his head. He doesn't run his own
very
social
camera
media.
shy. I love it.
He doesn't run his own social media.
Right,
he doesn't run he doesn't like social media. He doesn't like listening to the noise. He doesn't watch ESPN. He doesn't watch NFL Network. Doesn't watch any of that stuff. So he's completely away. We ask him like, "Oh, what makes you so great?" He's like, "I'm not great. I'm just good. Like I happen to be good at football." And you just laugh and you're like, "You know what? Joey summed it up pretty well the other day. He told me, he's like, "This guy's so good that I don't think he realizes he's freaking good. Like he's that good." And I just started laughing. So it's just one of those things. So you just want to see the continuation of the building of the offense, him understanding it, him having cohesion with some of the new weapons like Josh Palmer, Jared Cook, obviously some of the running backs. So definitely if you see that and him just keep on building from last year, I think it is going to be a really good season for Herbert. And I know that fans in the organization is hoping that him having a good season translate into a playoff, at least wild card, if not challenging the Chiefs for the division.
Yeah, I'm glad I saved this question for you because you essentially just shot it down before I did. So what I'm going to ask you is, I know you haven't seen much of the offense, but with the weapons that are there on the offense for Justin Herbert, you talked about Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen is there as well. But with the defensive front and with this defense altogether for Washington, how do you see the Chargers and the first-year head coach of Brandon Staley attacking this defense?
Well, I think it's going to be maybe some screen passes, maybe some kind of short routes, slant routes, something where Justin doesn't hold the ball all that long onto just because you don't want him to take any of those unnecessary hits. Last year, if you saw a lot of Justin's really nice plays where he held onto the ball, there were good plays, but Justin took shots in them. That 53-yard touchdown pass to Tyron Johnson, he had Vita Vea and JPP right in his face. He throws the pass, and he gets knocked to the ground. The Chargers don't want that. So I think what Justin's really grown in this training camp is his 3-step drop. Last year, he wasn't able to do a 3-step drop. In 3 seconds, he'd already have guys in his face. This year, he's able to drop back a little bit. Corey Linsley is able to control things at center. The guards are better. The tackles are a lot better, so he's able to hold on to it and step drop, boom, pass. So I think that's the way they're going to try and attack these guys. Keenan Allen, I mean, we all know he's one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's able to get off quick. If the cornerback is on him, he's able to release quickly. If the cornerback's off, he's just going to tear the guy apart. Now, the only thing is Mike Williams, he's more of a long ball kind of receiver. Well, the Chargers are saying that they're going to use him in kind of that Michael Thomas role. So you're going to see slants. You're going to see in routes, out routes, slants. You're going to see a lot of different things from Mike Williams. So that's going to be key too. Can Mike get open? Can Josh Palmer get open? That's going to be the question. But Keenan Allen, honestly, all training camp, didn't matter if it was against San Francisco, against his own team. Keenan was open at all times. So that's going to be really the interesting part. And then Jared Cook, I think that's a lot that hasn't been made of is the connection between Jared Cook and Herbert. They really grew a lot during training camp. I personally Donald Parham, tight end, who I think he was with Washington for a little bit, a couple of years ago. So Donald Parham has really grown this training camp. He's 6'8". Jared Cook, I've been saying all season or all off season that I think combined they're going to score 15 to 20 touchdowns this season, just because they're so big, they're so tall that in the end zone, they're in the red zone, they're just going to be looked at left and right. And I just think that those two combined as a tight end combo could have a huge year for the Chargers. But yeah, I think that's the way they're going to attack them. They're going to try and work quickly, work efficiently, and try and not turn the ball over.
Right. And let's flip to the other side of the ball. Obviously, Joey Bosa is one of the top edge rushers in the league. He had another guy opposite on the other side, Melvin Gordon. You guys lost him in free agency to Pittsburgh.
Melvin Ingram.
I said Melvin Gordon. Melvin Ingram to Pittsburgh.
Well, they lost Melvin Gordon a couple years ago.
Oh,
too.
don't worry. All of us journalists still get confused. Last year, one of us asked Anthony Lynn, "Hey, so what does it feel like to have Melvin Gordon back on the field?" It's like, Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think he's doing well in Denver the last time I talked to him.
Yeah. So yeah, Melvin Ingram loses him into free agency to Pittsburgh. Who's going to be stepping in opposite him, and do you think that will affect Joey Bosa and his pass rush, not having that other stud pass rusher opposite him?
Well, the guy's been Kyler Fackrell. He's the guy he was with the Giants last year. Before he was with the Green Bay Packers. With the Packers, he had 10.5 sacks 2 years ago, and that's with Zadarius Smith opposite side of him. So really, I think Kyler Fackrell is going to have a big year, just because Joey's going to gravitate a lot of the attention, which is going to leave God, I forgot his name. Linval Joseph, Jerry Tillery, Justin Jones. Some of these guys are going to get open, and it's going to be their job to get these sacks. And that's the problem. In the last few years, they haven't been able to do that. They haven't wrapped up the quarterback, and that's when the quarterback's gotten loose and made big plays. So really, the Chargers' defensive line has to be disciplined and let guys kind of fall into Fackrell and Joey Bosa's arms. But Fackrell, I think, is in for a big year. Him and Uchenna Nwosu, I think, are going to be rotating. Also, fourth-round rookie Chris Rumph should get a little bit of the action. He's a little bit longer, a little bit faster. Chargers want to put some meat on his bones before, but you have to play him. You have to give the rookie some time. And he's more of the Leonard Floyd kind of guy, like fast, aggressive. He just needs to put on that weight, and he could really look like Leonard Floyd. But definitely 100%, I think the Chargers are excited about Kyler Fackrell. He's a guy that really is a blue collar kind of guy that works hard. He's been working hard all off season, and really a spot that a lot of people thought, oh, this is Uchenna Nwosu's 100%. Now it's turned into, it looks like it's going to be Kyler Fackrell, and Uchenna's going to be the backup. But I really do think the Chargers are going to be interchanging guys in and out. They're going to keep guys fresh. So there's going to be a healthy rotation, but as a starter, I think it's going to be Kyler Fackrell that's going to be the starter.
Okay, right. So keeping it on the defense, as we know, you guys have so many playmakers over there on defense. I mean, you look at Derwin James, especially over there in the secondary, but one person who I am very interested in seeing how he plays is Asante Samuel Jr. I want to see how he if he follows in his father's footsteps. How has he looked in camp? How has he looked in the preseason? And do you see him making a big impact year one?
The thing about I really do think that behind the quarterback, I think corner is the hardest position to transition to from college to the NFL. Yes. That's what I've been telling fans. I'm like, hey, you guys need to be careful, because Asante Samuel Jr. is gonna do one of two things. Either you're going to love him for the plays that he's going to make, but he's also going to have some plays where you're going to get frustrated with him. Why? Because he's learning. And that's the thing. It's fine to get, I mean, sometimes you look at, I remember I looked at Richard Sherman's first year, and he got blown past a lot of times because it was his first year. That's what's going to happen. Everybody should know it's going to happen. So Asante's really, I think this year he's going to have incredible plays where he could have a 60-yard pick six, but then he's going to have plays where he gives up a 40-yard pass. Which is, I mean, obviously it just comes with the territory. It comes with being a rookie. But I really do see a lot of his dad in him. I know that he doesn't really like speaking about it, but it just looks too similar. I watched his dad play when I was a kid, and I loved watching him play. Asante Samuel Sr. was one of my favorite players to watch, just because he was so small, so gritty, so aggressive. He would celebrate every positive play, and I'm sorry, but that's just who Asante is. Asante does the exact same thing. There was a play in training camp. He went one-on-one against, I I think it was against Jason Moore, just a receiver, locks him up. Justin's not able to get off a throw. He runs over, goes like this to Justin Herbert, and goes, "You couldn't get it off." And you just start looking, you're like, wow, rookie, you want to chirp at the starting quarterback. This is interesting. And like Derwin comes up and celebrates with him. So yeah, I definitely think that Asante is going to be a good player for the Chargers, but it's just going to be, he's going to have an up and down season. And I think fans need to prepare themselves for the possibility that that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a roller coaster kind of year for him, but there is going to be a lot of really good that fans are going to be able to see, and the organization is going to be able to see.
Now, a two-part question for you. I'll ask the second question after you answer the first one here, Fernando. To wrap this up, X factors for each team in order for them to win this Sunday.
So one for the Chargers and one for the
Washington football team. What do they have to do? What do they have to win at in order to secure the victory?
I think Ryan Fitzmagic has to be Fitzmagic. He has to be the guy that comes out and slings the football if they want to win. He can't turn the ball over. Sometimes he can give you 3 touchdowns, but he can give you 3 interceptions as well. I mean, we've seen it before. So if Washington wants to win, it's going to have to be Ryan Fitzpatrick leading it. If the Chargers are going to win this weekend, the X factor has to be Rashaan Slater. If Rashaan Slater is able to kind of clamp down on Chase Young, then and I mean, obviously there's a lot of other talent on that offensive line, but if I have to look at one player, if Rashaan Slater has a good game against Chase Young and whoever else he's up against, then that means that Justin Herbert should have a clean pocket most of the afternoon, and that means he's going to be able to operate. But what a hell of a first game to get for Rashaan Slater. You get Chase Young, you get to go up against him, so that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and that being said, the last question I have for you, what is your prediction for the game on Sunday?
So, I mean, it's going to come out later this week in my SI article, but I really do. I think I had the Chargers 27, Washington 19. Okay. I think that the Chargers are on the cusp of something really good. I just feel like, what is that going to be? How is it going to look? And that's the thing with us not knowing how this offense is going to look, how the defense is going to look. There is a lot of excitement around the building. So that's the thing. I haven't really seen that in the years that I've been around the team since 2013. Started off as an intern, worked my way up, and now I'm at SI. And I have never seen this kind of level of excitement for a season. So that's why, I mean, I have them winning the first game, but this game could really go either way. I just think Washington is so talented. I think they have so many weapons on offense. They have so many weapons on defense. But the reason why I went with the Chargers winning is because to me, Washington's secondary is a little up and down. So, and if you have an up and down kind of secondary with a guy like Keenan Allen on the opposite side, I just think Keenan's going to be I know Thanksgiving's in November, but I think Keenan's going to be feasting all day long. But like I said, it's just right now my opinion. But yeah, I have the Chargers winning.
That's fine. But real quick, last one.
Yeah.
Are you, and with regards to Brandon Staley not playing the starters, with it being his first year, do you think that's more of a detriment, more so than a positive, in order for them to keep eyes off their offense?
No, I thought it was, well, yeah, I thought it was smart for him to do it. Just, this team has been plagued with injuries. By this time, in the last 2 years, Derwin was already out. By this time, 3 years ago, Joey Bosa was already out. By this time, 4 years ago, Hunter Henry was already out. So why do you want to risk anything like that? You might as well should just sit all these guys, let them wait. And then Brandon Staley thought that the practices were a lot tougher on the players than any of these games were. So that's saying a lot. I mean, literally, you probably have about a top 5 offense going up against a top 5 defense in practice every single day. So they're challenging, they're fighting, they're going all the way. But it's honestly been interesting. But I have a question for you guys before I go.
Okay.
Can I ask it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you, now watching what you know about Justin Herbert, do you guys wish that Washington would have gone Herbert over Chase Young, or are you guys fine with the pick?
I'll always. I love Justin Herbert. I do, and we need a franchise quarterback. God, we need a franchise quarterback so bad. But
I just saw it on social media. I saw some Washington fan put it out there.
Yeah,
so that's why
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've dwelled on it for a while, but I think what Chase brings to this defense is so important, and it really puts this defense over the top.
Yeah, and look, I've come to the assessment that basically Washington will never have a franchise quarterback. And what we have to do is that we have to build a good enough team in order to carry us through a championship and to get there. That's the way we're going to have to do it. It's not going to be through the franchise. But like Reed said so perfectly, the Washington, especially on defense, has kind of missed the toughness, the confidence, the strength that Chase Young brings, along with Ron Rivera. I think it's a perfect relationship. It's just one of those things that was meant to be. You know, he grew up in the area, and what he brings to his defense is exactly what we have needed for many, many years. So unfortunately, I'm not saying unfortunately, but I'm still going with Chase Young.
Yeah, I'm with them. I mean, I was a huge Justin Herbert guy. I'm a huge college football fan, so I've known about Herbert since he stepped foot on Oregon's campus. And I like him, obviously, at number 2. No one really thought of him as a number 1 pick. So I'm happy with Chase Young. Like they said, like the leadership he brings, kind of the swag that he brings to the team. Everyone on the team. He's already a team captain in his rookie year. So I just think that Chase was the right piece for this team right now, and for them building what they're building right now. So I'm happy with Chase Young. Obviously, Herbert is a phenomenal quarterback, but
there's a lot of really good rookie quarterbacks coming out in next year's draft, which I'm sure Washington will try and get their hands on.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I will say I am happy. I have a friend that is a Chargers fan. I'm glad that you guys were able to get Phillip Rivers' replacement immediately. Yeah. Did not waste waste any time in regards to that. So that is good for you guys. I'm really happy for y'all.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I'm gonna be at the game. I'm gonna be covering the game on Sunday. I'm excited because I see the jerseys behind you guys, and to me, man, when I watch Sean Taylor play with the passion, with the love, I'm like, damn, like this guy was something else. Like I remember the day that he passed. I was like, dude, like it felt like an uncle had gone, just because he was just such a great player, such a great person, such a great talent. That you're like, dang, like what could have been? And like I know a lot of people compare Derwin James to Sean Taylor in a sense, but man, I just remember Sean Taylor was the first linebacker looking kind of safety and he would just knock guys. Man, that Pro Bowl highlight where he knocks that punter out like that. Like I know people would get up and they're like, hey man, it's the Pro Bowl, but that's the kind of passion you have to play with in every day, no matter what, when you put on those pads. So it was just awesome. And I can't wait to be there on Sunday and kind of take that in and know that Sean Taylor hit that field and he hit it hard. So I'm excited for that. But hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. This was awesome. And if you guys ever need me again, I'm definitely down to come on.
Well, definitely, Fernando. Yes. I'll be hitting you up and having you back on. You were incredible. Thank you so much for all the insight you gave us into the Chargers. I feel like I know your entire team now. I can't thank you enough, Fernando. If you would like to, before you get out of here, you want to plug your social media handles in case people want to find your work?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm at Real F Ramirez on both Twitter and Instagram. Hey, I'm even on TikTok. I've been throwing out some things out there. I asked George Kittle. Hey, I went viral the other day actually. George Kittle, I asked him, who you got in WrestleMania, John Cena or Roman Reigns? He got excited to answer the question, so I was like, okay, cool. So I'm on TikTok as well. But I appreciate you guys having me on. And again, have a great one, and thank you again.
Of course, and best of luck to you this weekend. Hopefully both teams stay healthy. Right, Fernando?
Yeah.
You have a good one, sir. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man Fernando, reporter for Sports Illustrated, covering the Los Angeles Chargers in the big matchup coming this weekend. He brought a lot of great insight. But before we get into our fan questions from all of our great guys, let's talk about the Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. It is that time, guys, and we want to bring awareness and show a lot of insight into people that generally deserve to get praised, to get talked about their accomplishments and what they do. And the first one that I'm starting with is Mrs. Maddie Smith. In 2020, at 3 years old, she was diagnosed with neuroblastoma after 5 cycles of induction chemotherapy, tumor removal surgery, which removed 50% of the tumor, 2 stem cell transplants, 12 days of radiation, and 6 cycles of immunotherapy. She officially completed her treatment on May 6th of 2021. Great freaking job, Maddie. I can't thank you enough for all your work that you're doing. What a badass she is. But you know what? That doesn't stop her from doing everything that she likes to do. And I will tell you what, I loved toys growing up too, Maddie. I did too. That's all me. Who are you covering today, Hall? Who's your MVP?
I got 14-year-old Serenity. She's been fighting.
Warrior right there.
Yeah, serious. She's a huge warrior. She's been fighting a battle since she was been born. Within the last 6 months, she was diagnosed with B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. but that doesn't stop her. She loves animals. Look, I'm a huge animal guy. I got my dog right here laying next to me. I love animals myself. She loves Pokemon, and who didn't love Pokemon growing up? I mean, got to catch them all. I love Pokemon Go when it came out. She's a huge fan of the Washington football team, as we all are, and all we're gonna do, you know what I'm saying, hopefully Sunday we can go out against the Chargers, and we'll get this dub. You can cheer them on, and like I said, Serenity's a badass, and shout out to you.
Good job.
Hope everything goes well.
Who's your MVP of tonight, Reed?
Well, we got my man Lucas. Lucas is battling medulloblastoma. I believe I said that right. I hope so. I tried to write it down so I could pronounce it right. But Lucas's recent scans showed only 2 of 6 metastatic spots left on his brain, and they had decreased in size. The spot on his spine is almost gone, and most importantly, he has no new diseases. Lucas likes cars, trains, Spider-Man, Toy Story, Lightning McQueen.
That's my kind of kid
Lightning
right there.
McQueen.
Who
Right,
doesn't?
his favorite color is pink, and Lucas has a private warrior page called Lucas's Prayer Warriors. So make sure that you guys check that out. Good job, Lucas.
Yes, and again, we were provided with these kids to show awareness to them and give them a spotlight to be able to show how awesome they are and the kind of strength that they show. Because if I was put in that position at their age, dude, I'm not sure if I'd be able to come out the other side like they are. It just shows how strong-willed they are and how strong they are as people. And we were provided with them by the hog farmers, Chris Bryant and Jeff Reinhart, Joe Hall. We have Keith as well over there. Thank you guys for supplying us with these kids to be able to give the spotlight to them. Now, let's move on to our fan questions. And our first one is from our guy, Mike Puckett, who is in the Burgundy Zone Fantasy Football League. We all know we drafted yesterday. His question for us, it's a fantasy football-based question. I'll start with you, Hall. What are the chances of you beating him in fantasy this year?
I like to think of myself as
team.
he does have a stacked team. But I like to think of myself as a fantasy expert, some could say. In our big league, I've been in the Super Bowl 3 times. That's like one of the most competitive leagues that I've been in over all these fantasy football years. Everyone in that league knows their stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty confident because I'm pretty confident in my fantasy football knowledge.
Yes, and
I have a stacked team though.
I am very confident that you will beat my team, Mike. And the reason for that, I won that league last year. I felt bad doing it. So I kind of did things differently this year in our draft for Burgundies, and I drafted people I wouldn't normally draft. So let's see how it works out. Let's see if it works out for the better or not. So I am very confident you'll be my team. Your team is absolutely stacked in all your starter spots.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be my team. My team, just when you really look at
you're
it. You're
projected higher than he is.
I know I am, but I don't feel that way. I really don't like my team that much, man. I really don't. But hey, it is what it is. And, I won 3 out of 5 leagues last year. All 5 of them I finished in the top 4. So,
minor flex.
Minor flex, NBD, but I'll probably end up winning. But, it is what it is. Chances that you beat me, slim to none. Probably, no, I'm just kidding. You will, probably. You more than likely will. Your team's legitimately stacked.
Yeah, now our next question is from our guy, Scott Hartley from the UK. Oi! Our brother,
Oi.
We're going to miss you this week. And he wants to know who, in your opinion, has the biggest impact on Sunday's outcome of the game. And his is Justin Herbert. So I'll start with you, Reed.
Yeah, kind of like we just heard. I think that our secondary in general, especially William Jackson III, William Jackson and Kendall Fuller, those 2 are going to really need to step up against these good wide receivers. This defensive line, we know what they can do, but if the defensive line can get to Justin Herbert and William Jackson III can shut down Keenan Allen, I think we got a very good chance to win this ball game.
Yeah, for me, I'm probably going to go with Antonio Gibson. The running game is very, very important for this team, especially going against Joey Bosa and everything. Being able to offset that pass rush, and you can do that greatly with being able to run the football effectively and then use Ryan Fitzpatrick's play action ability off of it with the weapons supplied. So I think Antonio Gibson is the biggest impact there in order for them to win the game, in my personal opinion. If he can have a great game, average about 4.5, 5 yards per carry, I think Washington is in a great, great position to win.
Yeah, I was going to go with Antonio Gibson for all the facts that you said, like control the clock, keep that high-powered offense off the field, and like I said, control the time of possession. But since you went Antonio Gibson, I will go with the linebackers. I think that them against Jared Cook, like you heard Fernando mention how Jared Cook's going to be a big red zone target. everyone knows that the tight ends have been the Achilles heels of this defense for many years.
So freaking true.
On top of that, you got a guy like Austin Eckler who can catch the ball at the backfield.
Yep.
He's kind of a small type of twitchy guy, but also like a really powerful runner.
And Herbert's a fairly mobile quarterback.
Exactly. So I definitely think that the linebackers staying with Jared Cook and keeping Austin Eckler contained is going to be the key to this matchup.
Yep.
Now, obviously, the biggest one, though, is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can all pretty much agree on that.
Yeah. And if next question from Scott, and I'll stay with you, Hall. If you had no choice but to morph into an animal, what would it be and why?
It's a good one. I would probably go. Man, I'd probably go like cheetah. Cheetahs are tight, they're fast. And then I don't got to worry about, I guess I got to worry about like lions and everyone else trying to eat me, but I'm just so fast I can just Tyreek Hill them, just peace.
I guess a bald eagle, man, all day long. Woo!
America.
I'm going to pick something that I don't think anybody, I'm going to pick a fly. I love shit, man. No, just, I think it'd be cool to fly around. It'd be a little small. You can see 30 things at once. I don't even know if a fly is technically an animal, but I'm going with a fly.
I don't think it is. It's an insect, right?
Are insects animals? I don't think anybody ever taught me that.
I don't know. Now let's get that's above my pay grade.
I was gonna literally. I was just.
I don't know. I just work here, man. I don't know.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Oh yeah.
Our next question is from Rio of Rambling with Rio's podcast, Rambling About Washington. You can find him on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all the great podcast platforms. He wants to know a fantasy football question. I don't know if it's PPR or not, but let's try to answer it the best way possible. He wants to know your flex spot. Should it go with Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, or Cole Beasley?
I would go.
It's easy for me.
Yeah, I'd probably go Cole Beasley. I just think that he's coming off an All-Pro year. I think that that's one of Josh Allen's favorite targets on the field. I think that he's going to work the middle of the field. Actually, they play each other. So I think he's going to work the middle of the field against Pittsburgh. And once Cole Beasley gets into the red zone, he's also like a great target, all those crossing routes and intermediate routes. So I'll go Cole Beasley if it's PPR.
Yeah, if you're looking for, just to be able to have 10 points a game, yeah, go to Cole Beasley. That's your guy. That's what you want to go with. But if you want to go for highest upside, it's Chase Claypool by far. I had Juju last season, and what you saw with Juju against Washington, where he had like 3 receptions for like 7 yards or something ridiculous like that, that's essentially what you're getting with Juju. You're not getting explosion. You're not getting a touchdown receiver. You're strictly getting a possession wide receiver. And I think Claypool being the bigger weapon there and being younger, I think Coach Tom is probably a little bit over the Juju Smith-Schuster TikTok bullcrap. And so if I were to pick anyone there, I'm going with Chase Claypool just because of the upside.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit it right on the head. If it's PPR, you got to go Cole Beasley. If not, then they take the upside.
Even PPR, I'm still going Chase Claypool.
Really?
Chase
Claypool has such huge upside that I think that he could dominate. I think that they're going to look at him early and often. He's entering year 2. He's shown what he can do. It's time for him to take that next step. I think that he will. The Steelers are always producing wide receivers. But, yeah, I'd say PPR, go Cole Beasley, not go our boy.
I need to know if this is like a draft question or if this is a matchup question. Because if this is just for week 1, then, yeah, obviously that's going to change. But if it's for the season, I think that's what I'm saying with Claypool.
Oh, yeah.
But regardless,
Claypool, yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, now our next question is from Florida Skins fan Sean, our guy. Just heard some bad news about his father, so if you could – put out some prayers for Sean and his family. They're going to need it.
Sorry, Sean.
Sean is a great dude who helps out the community. Yeah. Obviously, you guys remember the Dallas and his parents, James and Lindsay, that we talked about before last week. Yeah. Now, his question for us is, who starts an NFL game first this season, Cam Newton or Taylor Heinicke-Reed?
Ooh, that is a good one. I'm going to go with Taylor Heinicke. Cam Newton's not on a roster yet, and I don't know, man. Judging from what I've heard, all the reports saying that Mac Jones was teaching him the offense, I don't know how many people are going to want to take a flyer on him right now. I think that he will eventually get picked up, but I'm going to go with Taylor Heinicke because, look, he's only one of them guys on the roster right now, and Fitzpatrick can be hot and cold. We know that the fan base, as soon as Fitzpatrick throws a couple picks, is going to be begging for Heinicke, so I'm going to say Taylor Heinicke.
I'll say Cam Newton, and the reason being is that probably injury-based. Team will be forced to sign him, and that he'll be put into the starting lineup immediately in case of that happening. Because with Taylor, you're kind of banking on an injury happening with Ryan. Not 100% sure when that will happen, because I don't expect Ryan to play so poorly enough to the point where Taylor has to come in. So if the only way Taylor's going to be starting is if there's a possible injury, I don't want that, knock on wood. So if with Cam Newton, though, I do think that team will be an emergency situation and will need to bring somebody in, possibly like with a COVID outbreak. If their quarterback room goes sour, they need to bring in a vet right away.
Cam's not vaccinated.
Yeah, but
they're not bringing him in with a COVID outbreak.
Well, no, that's fine. Well, if you have all three quarterbacks out and you need a quarterback, it's better to start Cam
Then they'll
Newton.
be like, as soon as he comes into our building, he's going to catch it. So.
Not if he's not near them. But no, regardless, Cam would be probably a very, very good COVID replacer for anybody. I would definitely see him doing it over. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm going to go Heineke. I just think that it's not even really like the biggest damning part about Mac Jones reportedly teaching Cam Newton the playbook, which, I mean, Cam Newton was there with the playbook last year, so I don't really know how much of that is true. Yeah. But
it's probably because Josh McDaniels was using a different playbook last season because he's like a typical pro-style offense, and that's why it's not Cam Newton was a problem last year. It's Josh McDaniels, but regardless, keep going.
Yeah, but I still think it's going to be Heineke just for the simple fact of the great Cam Newton basically got beat out by a rookie, and that's like the most damning part to me that Cam Newton's not really like the great Cam Newton that obviously the injury is taking a toll. Even if you look at him now, it kind of looks like he's like still playing like a little bit injured, a little bit nicked up here and there, shoulder injury, something like that. So I just think that for him to get on the roster, he's going to have to be started as a backup. And I don't think that he wants to be a backup. Yeah. Obviously, injuries can come. He can hop on a roster. But even still, I just think that it teams to go with a guy that's already on the roster as opposed to Cam Newton, who threw for 8 touchdowns last year.
That's granted. Now the last one.
Never gonna let that go.
Stay with you, Hall. Which Washington football team rookie and which NFL rookie has the biggest impact week 1?
Washington football rookie week 1.
And NFL. One rookie from each to make the biggest impact week 1.
NFL league wide, I will go. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a huge game. I knew you were going to go with him, but I think he's going to have a huge game against the Eagles. I think that Matt Ryan is poised for a huge year, throwing the ball in the air. Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Russell Gage. I think that offense is going to be, especially with Arthur Smith calling the plays for them, I think that offense is going to be high-powered. Washington football team rookie, I'll go Sam Cosmi for the simple fact of you got a guy like Joey Bosa going up against you. He's been well-seasoned going up against Chase Young and Montez Sweat all through the offseason. So for this offense to be any type of near productive on Sunday, you're going to have Sam Cosmi doing a hell of a job going against Joey Bosa.
Yeah, which NFL rookie do I think has the biggest impact week 1? And I'll think that will be Javonte Williams, the running back from Denver. They're going up against the Giants. Obviously, the Giants' defense is pretty good, but the fact being is those goal line touches, I think Javonte could have a multiple touchdown game to start the season, and he could have the biggest impact. Now, for Washington, I think it's Benjamin St-Juste, and the reason being is that because LA's wide receivers are generally taller, bigger, fast guys. You talk Mike Williams, Keenan Allen being a bigger guy, Jared Cook, and then I forget his name, Pasham, whatever his name is, Parnham being the backup tight end there for them as well. They're bigger guys, and Benjamin St-Juste using his length, that'll come in handy on Sunday. So I think he'll be a huge asset going against those big wide receivers. I think he'll have the biggest impact this weekend.
Yeah, you guys all had some good ones, and you guys took a lot of mine. But I'm going to go with an obvious one for us, Jamin Davis, just because the Hall already talked about it. The linebacker position is going to be so important. We've struggled with tight ends. We've struggled with mobile quarterbacks. We've struggled with pass-catching running backs. We've struggled to stop the big play. I think Jamin Davis is brought in here for a reason, and that reason is to use his athleticism to help stop those things. League-wide, it's kind of tough to say. I like where both of you guys went. I was going to go Kyle Pitts, but I'm going to go somewhere even easier right now. I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence. I really think that Trevor Lawrence is going to completely change that offense down there. I think, obviously, we don't know what Urban Meyer is going to do, but I just think that you've seen his natural ability and his repertoire is chemistry with Marvin Jones. I think Laviska Shenault's going to have a big year, and I really think that Jaguars offense has a chance to be really good.
Yeah, that's a good pick by you, Zach Wilson. Honorable mention as well. Now, our next question from Orange Crush 92, which always has great questions, and this one's fantastic. What is y'all's opinion on Saquon Barkley? Taking into account with his injury history and how he's played after and before the injury, how much of a threat will he be this year versus us?
So Saquon Barkley, I will go and say, is the most talented running back in the NFL when he is healthy. When Saquon Barkley is healthy, I think he is. Is he the best running back in the NFL? No. But he's definitely the most talented just in terms of natural athleticism, in terms of what you see. He's so patient. He catches the ball so well. He does everything great. But that injury really scares you. But if he can come back healthy, he's going to be a huge part of that Giants offense, and that's terrifying to think about.
Yeah, and I think he's a big threat for the Giants because, to be perfectly honest with you, I think their offense is going to go back to relying around him completely. They're not going to have their offensive line. The offensive line's in shambles. They're having to pick guys off the street already, and this is a 17-game season. We haven't even gotten into it yet. So I do think that Saquon will be the passing game and running game until they can get that offensive line figured out, because it's all going to be quick stuff. So I do think that he is a threat, because you don't want to overlook Saquon, because Saquon can take you by surprise. But the fact is, I'll say this, I do think he's a threat enough to the point where this team should be looking at, as a defensively, they should be looking at the Giants and saying, we have to stop Saquon, make Daniel Jones beat us. And I think that's the best avenue for them to go down right now.
100%.
Yeah, I do think he's a threat against us, because if you look back at the history against us and Saquon Barkley, outside of that one game, he's pretty much destroyed us by himself.
Yep.
But, yeah, as far as the rest of the season goes, I think they're going to slowly but surely ease him back in. I think by week 5, 6, he'll be a full go, back to the 100% Saquon Barkley. And in this day and age, guys come back from ACLs like that. So I do think he'll be back to the regular, normal Saquon Barkley, explosive, athletic Saquon Barkley. It might take a little bit, but I would definitely be worried because, again, like I said, he just likes to come out and just destroy our defense every time he plays us.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Now, our next question is from loyal fan Tony Franchise. He says, the word around town is that Jared Patterson has been working out with Brian Mitchell on returns. Could he become the new version of Brian Mitchell, Hall?
Well, I hope so. Brian Mitchell is a Washington/Redskins legend and one of the best returners in the game. Should be in the Hall of Fame, if you ask my opinion. But, yeah, I mean, look, return game has been kind of lacking for this team ever since pretty much the Brandon Banks days. And even every time Brandon Banks ran the ball back, it was always a penalty, got called back. So I think that Jared Patterson showed in the preseason that he's capable of returning kicks on kickoffs. And who knows, maybe even punts as well. We'll see down the road. But I definitely think that working with Brian Mitchell is a huge positive for Jared Patterson.
Yeah, and obviously that being an area of necessity for the Washington football team and being an upgrade, that's awesome to hear that Brian Mitchell, who is one of the Washington all-time greats, that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. Do I think that he could be a version of him? Yes, absolutely. I think Jared Patterson's just looking for an opportunity to get the ball in his hands, and that's the kind of person that I like a lot. So could he be the new version of Brian Mitchell? I don't think so, because it's Brian Mitchell. Not that many people are like Brian Mitchell, just hearing to him talk, let alone seeing what he does on the football field. But I do think Jared Patterson could be a running back that is utilized on special teams and would be an upgrade over what we currently had last season.
Right. Yeah. Both of you guys are right. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest return men of all time, one of the most electric of all time. Really, if you break it down, before Devin Hester came into the NFL, Brian Mitchell held just about every return record that there was.
Yeah.
So can he be him? I would love that. But those are some pretty big shoes to fill. But the dude's definitely got the talent. We see him every time he's got the ball in his hands, man. He seems to be a spark plug, and that's really what you want out of a return man. So I hope so.
Yep. And our next question is from our big fan, number 1 draft pick last night, Brandon Reinbold, Mies 21. He wants to know, Reed, what are our opinions on Curtis Samuel being back at practice? How did he look? Does the injury seem to linger?
I mean, obviously they are easing him into it. From a couple of videos that I've seen of him running routes, I couldn't tell if he was running full speed or not, so I don't know if it's going to linger, but I just know that those injuries do tend to linger. But I think this coaching staff is smart. They're going to ease him into it. They're not going to rush him back and risk losing him for the season or risk this lingering for the season. So I don't think that you're going to see him as much as we thought originally in week 1, but you're still going to see a good amount of Curtis Samuel. They're going to design some plays for him. They're going to make sure that they get the ball in his hands. So I'm not too worried about it because I trust this coaching staff.
It's right on schedule, baby. You know, I've been saying this all summer long. I know that this is an injury that is lingering and everything, but if it is, awesome. If not, okay, who cares? The fact is, I think that Ron Rivera is playing this correctly. Brandon Staley did not play any of his starters because he's concerned about injury. Well, Rivera is concerned about allowing the offense to be seen in what's going on, and so him keeping Curtis Samuel back, which completes the puzzle of what this offense is. Without that piece, you can't really tell what this offense is like. Not until that piece is in there, and that is Curtis Samuel. The way that he's going to be used as a gadget guy, it's Scott Turner's guy, you can't really replicate what this offense will do without him. So they did it a smart way by saying, yeah, you look at our starters. This is what we'll possibly look like. But then when Curtis Samuel gets rolled out this weekend, it's like, holy crap, we weren't expecting that. We did not see that. And so they did what Brandon Staley is doing, but not to the extreme measure of nobody starting. They did it to the one piece that everyone would be able to figure out what their offense was, and they did that the correct way. I'm not overly concerned. I think Curtis Samuel will be ready to go as soon as he steps on the field, because the one thing that the coach said was that he was not overly concerned about Curtis having full practices in order for him to be a full go on Sunday, which tells me he's ready to freaking go. This is just all a thing to make sure to give him time, more than enough time to get back, so it's not something you have to deal with later on down the road. Take enough time, let us focus on our guys, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm like overly concerned. There's like a little pinch of concern in there, just for the simple fact of it's a groin injury, it's a soft tissue injury. And whenever a receiver or a speed agility guy, skill position, has a soft tissue injury or a groin injury, it can always pop up and linger here and there. You could wake up sore the next day or not. Who knows? But as far as playing week 1, I'm about 99% sure he's going to be there week 1.
Yep.
I'm expecting at least like 7 to 10 touches for Curtis Samuel. And like you said, they've been holding him out on the offense. He's the missing piece of this offense. He's the chess piece. You can move everywhere, put him everywhere. So, yeah, like I said, I definitely think that they already have some plays drawn up for him. They're going to scheme him up. And, yeah, like I said, I expect at least between like 7 to 10 touches.
And this is a great question, Hall. I'm going to stay back with you. Meese, next question is, with Peyton Barber being picked up by the Raiders, who fills the RB4 spot, Lamar Miller or someone else?
I'm pretty sure we signed Jonathan Williams to the practice squad to kind of be that fourth running back. So I would assume that he'll pick up the role. I think he's from he played with the Colts, I think, one season or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, Jonathan Williams hopefully won't ever have to get called up to the 53-man roster, but I think they signed him to be that kind of short orders Peyton Barber type guy.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Meese, because did they solidify that running back room by getting Jonathan Williams as the fourth? I'm not sure, but we have to take into consideration Jonathan Williams did last longer than Lamar Miller, which goes to show how much confidence they do have Jonathan Williams. So I would much rather have Jonathan Williams there on the practice squad in relief than Lamar Miller. I trust what they think. Randy Jordan is a veteran coach in this league. He knows running backs better than anybody. I trust what he's saying in that room.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both kind of hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah,
so there's not really, and that's all there is to say about that.
Now the next question is from Tony Shivers, our guy. He wants to know, what are your thoughts on the matchup against the Chargers' revamped offensive line? And Bulaga is already banged up?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that's obviously one of the keys to the game. You're going to hear every analyst talk about it, especially the matchup with Chase Young versus Rashaan Slater. We know about their battles in college. Rashawn's done very well against Chase Young, but he's a rookie. Chase has a lot more in his arsenal now. He's got Montez Sweat on the other side of him. He's dangerous. And look, we talked about Storm Norton going in there, and Storm Norton, I would be worried if I was the Chargers and he played, but I'd also be worried if Brian Bulaga plays because he's injured. And somebody that's that older.
Steal my thoughts. Like, literally, I'm like waiting for you to be done so I can rip that out. And of course you steal it.
Somebody like that, I mean, going up against these freak athletes, I mean, he's already not the most athletic offensive tackle in the world. So I would be very worried if I was the Chargers.
Yes, that is an advantage for the Washington football team, like you so well put earlier. If Bulaga's injured, and we don't know what his injury is, we could probably look it up and find out what it is. But most likely it's probably lower body.
I think it's a broken heart.
It's probably lower body, something like that. And if you're having to go against Montez Sweat, who runs a 4.3 with his quickness and size and length, you're going to need to be 100%, to be perfectly honest with you. And so either way, I feel like Washington fans should feel good about that matchup and the offensive line in particular. I know Corey Linsley is a very respected center in this league, but I love our guys, and I know how good our guys are and how much hell and havoc that they bring every time they're on the football field. I'm feeling good about our guys, Tony.
Yeah, I think that's going to be another key part to this matchup is going to be our D-line versus the O-line, versus their offensive line. Can we get pressure on Justin Herbert? Can we collapse that pocket from the inside with guys like Matt Ioannidis, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen? So I definitely think that our D-line is up to the task. I think that Montez Sweat and Chase Young are going to have themselves a day, whether it be Brian Bulaga, like you said, if he's injured. I love Chase Young at 100% against a guy that's not 100%. And if it's Storm Norton, I love any of our linemen against a guy named Storm Norton. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I think that in the trenches is going to be where the game is won. And I'll take 4 first-round picks over a patchwork offensive line, which is going to be good, but I got faith in our guys.
Yeah, and Tony's last question is a funny one that only Reed would appreciate. How wild is it that we have 2 white wide receivers and a white cornerback? He said we just need to sign Peyton Hillis.
Yeah, pretty much. Or Laird or whatever from the Dolphins.
On the waiver wire.
Yeah, it was
Rex Burkhead, something like that. You know what I'm saying? All right.
But
Jake Funk, we can get him from the Rams.
There you go.
Come on home, Jake.
Hey, yeah. Troy Apke is the first white cornerback in the NFL since 2002. Jason Sehorn.
Hey, we're setting trends here in Washington. We surely are. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
I am getting abused by my son.
All right, everybody. And we will be back again on Thursday with a brand new show wrapped up where we're really going to look into the matchup on Sunday. We'll have better insights into the injuries and designations and who's going to play more. So excited to get that up for you guys. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Thank you to the Hog Farmers for supplying us with Little Warriors for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Can't thank you guys enough for doing that. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday. Washington football. Hey. Peace. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Hey!